Early life and family background. Burrhus Frederick Skinner, known to the world as B.F. Skinner, was born on March 20th, 1904 in Susquehanna, Pennsylvania, a small railroad town near the New York border. His father, William Skinner, was a lawyer, and his mother, Grace Skinner, was a homemaker. Skinner had one younger brother, Edward, whose untimely death at the age of 16 from a cerebral hemorrhage profoundly affected the family. Despite this tragedy, Skinner described his childhood home as warm and stable, a nurturing environment that valued education and intellectual curiosity. From an early age, Skinner exhibited a strong inclination toward invention and problem-solving. He enjoyed building mechanical devices, such as a cart with backward steering, and a flotation system designed to separate ripe elderberries from unripe ones. He also constructed a cabin in the woods with a friend, demonstrating his resourcefulness and hands-on creativity. These early experiments were more than mere childhood play. They foreshadowed his later scientific innovations and experimental approach. Skinner's parents fostered a culture of critical thinking. A memorable moment from his youth involved his father questioning the authorship of Shakespeare's plays, which led Skinner to explore the works of Francis Bacon, a key advocate of the scientific method. This early exposure to systematic inquiry and skepticism laid the foundation for Skinner's lifelong commitment to empirical research and scientific rigor. Skinner attended Hamilton College in New York, where he initially pursued a degree in English literature. His early ambition was to become a writer, and he immersed himself in literary circles, spending time in New York City's Greenwich Village, mingling with bohemians and attending theater performances. However, Skinner struggled socially and intellectually to fit into the literary world, eventually becoming disillusioned with his prospects as a writer. After graduating in 1926, Skinner entered what he later called his dark year. During this period, he wrote very little and focused on small projects, including building models of sailing ships. Despite encouragement from notable figures such as the poet Robert Frost, Skinner felt he had nothing important to say as a writer, which contributed to his growing dissatisfaction with his chosen path. A pivotal turning point came when Skinner encountered the works of Ivan Pavlov and John B. Watson, pioneers of behaviorism. Their ideas captivated him and inspired a dramatic shift in his career trajectory. He realized that psychology, particularly behaviorism, offered a scientific approach to understanding and influencing human behavior, which appealed to his experimental mindset. This realization led him to enroll at Harvard University in 1928, where he studied under William Crozier, who encouraged him to focus on the scientific study of behavior, emphasizing observable actions rather than unobservable mental states. At Harvard, Skinner flourished. He developed a reputation for intellectual independence and innovation, laying the groundwork for his future contributions to psychology. He earned his PhD in 1931 and embarked on a career that would profoundly influence the field. During his graduate studies at Harvard, Skinner dedicated himself to understanding behavior through rigorous, controlled experiments. He introduced the concept of operant conditioning, which expanded on Edward Thorndike's law of effect. Operant conditioning describes how behavior is shaped by its consequences. Behaviors followed by reinforcement are more likely to be repeated, while those followed by punishment are less likely. Skinner's invention of the operant conditioning chamber, commonly known as the Skinner box, revolutionized experimental psychology. This apparatus allowed precise control and measurement of animal behavior. For example, rats placed in the box could press a lever to receive food or avoid an electric shock, enabling Skinner to systematically study how different reinforcement schedules influenced learning and behavior. After earning his PhD, Skinner remained at Harvard until 1936, when he accepted academic positions at the University of Minnesota and later Indiana University. During this time, he published his first major work, The Behavior of Organisms, 1938, which laid out the principles of operant conditioning and firmly established him as a leading figure in behaviorism. Skinner's work on operant conditioning fundamentally transformed psychology's understanding of learning and behavior. He identified three types of behavioral responses: neutral operants, reinforcers, and punishers. Reinforcers, whether positive, adding a pleasant stimulus, or negative, removing an unpleasant stimulus, increase the likelihood of a behavior, while punishers decrease it. One of Skinner's most important discoveries was the effect of reinforcement schedules on behavior. He described four main types: fixed ratio, variable ratio, fixed interval, and variable interval. Each schedule produces distinct patterns of behavior. For instance, variable ratio schedules, such as those used in gambling, produce particularly high and steady response rates, explaining why slot machines are so addictive. Skinner's experimental innovations extended beyond the Skinner box. He developed the cumulative recorder, a device that recorded response rates over time, providing detailed data on learning patterns. His famous superstition experiment with pigeons demonstrated how accidental reinforcement could lead to superstitious behavior, highlighting the powerful role of reinforcement in shaping even irrational actions. Skinner's theories were not confined to the laboratory. He applied operant conditioning principles to education, therapy, animal training, and even social engineering. His utopian novel Walden 2 imagined a society governed by behavioral principles, sparking debates about the ethical implications of behavior modification and social control. Skinner's academic career spanned several prestigious institutions. At the University of Minnesota, 1936-1945, he published The Behavior of Organisms and developed the baby tender, a heated crib designed for his child which stirred controversy despite its practical benefits. From 1945 to 1948, Skinner chaired the psychology department at Indiana University, where he helped organize the Society of the Experimental Analysis of Behavior and launched the Journal of the Experimental Analysis of Behavior, which became a key publication in the field. In 1948, Skinner returned to Harvard as a tenured professor, a position he held until his retirement in 1974. At Harvard, he refined his theories and developed teaching machines and programmed learning techniques, influencing education and psychology worldwide. Skinner mentored many students who became pioneers in behavior analysis, including Ogden Lindsley, Sidney Bijou, and Jack Michael. Together, they extended Skinner's principles into applied settings such as education, therapy, and organizational behavior. Skinner's written works are as influential as his experiments. His 1938 book, The Behavior of Organisms, introduced operant conditioning to the scientific community and remains a foundational text. In 1948, he published Walden 2, a utopian novel describing a society shaped by behavioral science. The book was controversial, raising ethical questions about free will and social control, but it inspired discussions on how behaviorism could improve society. Science and Human Behavior, 1953, applied operant principles to human actions, education, and government, advocating for behavior modification as a tool to solve social problems. In Verbal Behavior, 1957, Skinner extended his theories to language, proposing that verbal communication is shaped by reinforcement. Though initially criticized by linguist Noam Chomsky, this work influenced applied behavior analysis and speech therapy. His 1971 book Beyond Freedom and Dignity challenged traditional views of free will, arguing that behavior could and should be shaped scientifically for societal benefit. The book sparked heated debates about ethics and human autonomy. Other notable works include Schedules of Reinforcement, 1957, co-authored with Charles Ferstor, and The Technology of Teaching, 1968, which promoted programmed instruction and teaching machines.
Congratulations.
Skinner's radical behaviorism was not without its critics. His rejection of internal mental states and focus on observable behavior was seen by many as overly reductionist. Cognitive psychologists, led by figures like Noam Chomsky, argued that Skinner's theories could not explain complex phenomena such as language acquisition. Chomsky's 1959 review of verbal behavior is often credited with sparking the cognitive revolution, challenging Skinner's behaviorist framework and emphasizing the role of innate mental structures. Skinner's deterministic view of human behavior, especially in Beyond Freedom and Dignity, alarmed many who feared it threatened individual freedom and dignity. His utopian vision in Walden 2 was seen by some as dystopian social engineering. Ethical concerns also arose over the use of operant conditioning in vulnerable populations, with some applications criticized as dehumanizing or abusive. Despite these controversies, Skinner's work remains foundational, continuing to influence psychology, education, and therapy. Beyond his scientific achievements, Skinner was a multifaceted individual. He married Yvonne Blue in 1936 and they had two daughters, Julie and Deborah. Contrary to rumors, Skinner was a devoted father and family man. Skinner's personality combined intellectual curiosity with warmth and humor. He enjoyed music, playing the saxophone and piano in his youth, and later developed a passion for painting. His lifelong love of invention and problem-solving was evident in his scientific work and personal projects, such as the Air Crib, a temperature-controlled infant crib he designed. Skinner's legacy continues to influence modern psychology, education, therapy, and technology. Skinner retired from Harvard in 1974, but remained active in research and writing. Even after retirement, he walked daily to his office to engage with students and colleagues. His final major work, Recent Issues in the Analysis of Behavior, 1989, reflected his enduring commitment to behaviorism. Diagnosed with leukemia in 1989, Skinner continued to contribute to psychology until his death on August 18, 1990, at age 86. He received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the American Psychological Association just days before his passing. B.F. Skinner's operant conditioning theory revolutionized psychology by focusing on observable behavior and reinforcement. His principles underpin applied behavior analysis, a leading treatment for autism. Though criticized for ignoring cognition, Skinner's work remains a cornerstone of behavioral science. I hope you enjoyed today's deep dive into B.F. Skinner. Thanks for watching.